Yeah.
Cats. Are you cat or dog lady?
I'm an animal lady.
I
I've
mean,
got three
that's a good
cats.
answer because I heard him meow like way back.
Yeah.
I don't
At
know.
some point I had, so the kind of animals that I kept are ridiculous. I had
wow.
birds of prey living in my bathroom. Like I would brush my teeth and there's a little like kestrel, like a little falcon thing
Oh
sitting
wow.
next to me. And I'm
I
just
know
like
Castro.
brushing my teeth. Yeah, so I've lived with weird things. But
I
I'm
had
an
a
animal.
friend who once owned a kestrel and treated it like a fully grown falcon. It was the funniest shit we ever saw. We always made
They're
fun of him
cute.
for it.
They're
They are.
cute.
There.
Yeah.
Ellie, do me a favor, clip this because I want him to see that I talked about this. He's gonna hate me for this.
All right. How does
But
he
we
treat
made
him?
fun of him.
Mhm.
I'll tell you. So every morning he'd wear his glove, right, and he'd tie a little like string attached to the right or left foot. I forgot which one. I don't know details, but he'd place him. He'd place the little thing on like a brick on his roof. He'd take a few like meters of a step back, and as soon as he puts a little piece of meat, he'd blow on a whistle and the thing would come. So he kept doing it until one day he's like, okay, it's time to remove the string, right? I think he's ready.
Yeah.
As soon as he blew the whistle, the little shit flew away.
Oh no!
Gone.
It was the funniest thing. We made fun of him, and to this day, this is like a 3-4-year-old like story. And to this day, we make fun of him. It's
It
the
happens.
funny-
Why?
Bro,
Why does
the
that happen?
disappointment.
That's so strange.
Let's get into that, but I just want to say
Yeah.
this.
Uh-huh.
He took a video of when it happened. The disappointment
Oh,
on his
really?
face was
Aw.
Oh my
priceless.
God.
Aw.
It was priceless.
funny.
Of how it was so funny. But why do these kind of things happen? Right? You train them, and as soon as you give them like an inch, they go fly for miles.
Usually it's a training problem. So just give me a second. I'm trying to find my phone that's buzzing and so I can shut it off.
Okay, you're good. Mhm.
Yeah, so it's a training issue. A lot of people think that training is simply, you do something right and then I'll give you a treat and repeat that 100 billion times and the animal's got it, right? But it's not the same. And usually when it happens, like when you, for example, what I would assume that happened when, what I assume happened when your friend took off the leash thingy is the bird is not used to flying to the owner without the leash. He's always done it with the leash.
Oh.
So you need to train without the leash as well in a secure area. So I do train some birds. I don't do it anymore, but I do train some birds at the scientific center for flight. And you have to start off training in a familiar area and then you gradually increase it. If you're training with a leash, then you have to also train them without a leash if you want them to do it without a leash.
But how do you train them without a leash? Do you have
You
to be in
gotta
a closed room, I imagine?
Exactly.
Okay.
And
Fair.
you have backups, you train the bird to not come to you, for example, but come to another thing that the bird really likes.
Ooh.
That's smart.
So
Mhm.
you have like a backup plan in case the bird does not respond to this particular cue or command, but responds
Okay.
to another one. Yeah.
Fair.
Wow.
So birds, right? Have you had any experiences with parrots?
I've had a gray African parrot a long, long time ago. I
Alright.
love them. They're my favorite because they're just so smart.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of my experience with them is as as a patient kind of thing, not as a pet, not as a pet that I owned.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. Because I was going to ask you, how do you unteach them words? Because one of my friends does have one and it keeps using a certain word. Like, thank God he hasn't used it in front of any parents or anything like this. But for future purposes, how do you untrain them to not use a certain word?
Especially with these birds, it's very, very difficult.
Oh, God.
So good
Bro,
luck.
I'm sorry.
But you basically try to, associate the word with something else and replace it. So whenever the bird
this one's
says
kind of
something,
bad. Like this can't. ما يترقع بالكويتي. It's really. It's.
yeah, whenever the bird says that word, say another word or try to, get his attention off of it and try to replace it with something else. There's usually with words, there's usually a hint that makes them say it, If you can find out what that hint that gets them to say these words, then if you can completely try to avoid that,
we'll see what we can do. we'll see what we can do. Worst case scenario is we. No, I'm joking. I'm very against animal cruelty. I make jokes, but that's because I can sometimes be an asshole. But usually, I'm very against animal cruelty. Like I do not condone it.
As someone who's like right now, part of my job, like actual job, I get paid to do this is assess the welfare of animals and make sure that they're safe and not being treated poorly and stuff like that. But growing up, I did a lot of horrible shit. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Like what?
You're good.
Like what?
No, I did. I did a lot of stupid stuff. Like with training, I did use a lot of force with training dogs, like electric collars. Yanking, the chains and everything. I actually dumped dogs out on the street, which is something that I tell people not to do now, but I used to do before I knew better. I actually killed a bird when I was younger, 2 birds. I killed 2 birds, 2 parrots, because I overfed them. And they just like exploded on the inside.
I mean, look. In all fairness, that's my way. Like that's my preferred method of dying. Like I hope to one day die over like eating a lot.
Explode.
But yeah, like from how much food I've eaten, bro. I love food, but
Yes.
Yeah, you can die from eating too much.
But that's exactly what I meant in the earlier stages of the episode when I said our country does not really care too much for animal rights, right? Like we like, it's like okay, it's fine. We'll just get another one, right?
Yeah.
So,
what else
do you think there's a future for animal rights in? Yeah, that's.
In
I
Kuwait?
must have lagged.
No, yeah.
Yeah.